the day after the U.S. bombed nuclear sites in Iran, there are reports that U.S. cities are on high alert. There was a situation in Michigan where a man drove a truck into a church and tried to shoot people, but a security guard took him out. So I'm glad that no innocent people were injured in that situation. But the day after, the world's reacting to what happened. Trump claims that it was a huge success, but he's told us many lies. He claims it was a huge success. They totally destroyed the facility. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, also confirmed that as well. He claims that, yeah, it was a big success. Apparently there's over 125 American aircraft involved. B-2 bombers were used. That GBU-57, those missiles were used as well. And we don't know for sure what's the current state of those nuclear facilities. We don't know if some nuclear assets were already removed from that location beforehand. We just don't know yet. And we don't know if there was some type of deal worked out between the U.S. and Iran, that they were going to evacuate the people, evacuate the resources, and they're going to let the U.S. hit that target, and they're going to de-escalate from there. I hope that's the case. If it's not the case, then what Iran's saying may be true. They're talking about retaliating. Talk about the U.S. suffering some type of damage. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the U.S. military in the region. I don't know if that's going to be Americans here at home. We're not sure, but U.S. cities are on high alert. The U.S. Right now, well, okay, Russia and China, they're pushing for a ceasefire at the UN Security Council. That's what they're pushing for right now. Now, one Russian official, Medvedev, he's a chief chairman of the Russia's Security Council. He claims that there are several countries ready to supply Iran with nuclear weapons right now. Several. I mean, that's a big claim. Big claim. I don't know which countries will be willing to do such a thing. I don't know if he's just talking. He's said a lot of provocative things in the past before, so who knows? But that's really interesting. The situation could escalate. Again, Iran keeps talking about how they're going to respond. Maybe they're not going to do anything. Maybe they're not going to do much of anything, because if they keep talking about what they're going to do, then to me it's sort of an indicator that they're not going to do much of anything, because they're going to do it. They're going to just go ahead and do it. But maybe I'm wrong. I hope nobody else gets. I hope there's no more violence after this. I hope we can de-escalate. That's what I'm hoping for. But in any event, we need to be prepared. We need to be on alert for sure. Now, I'm sure Israel's influence on the U.S. played a big part in the U.S. bombing Iran. After all, one of Trump's biggest donors, Marilyn Adelson, is an Israeli-American citizen. She gave him over $100 million for his campaign. So I'm sure she has some influence, but I mean, the campaign's over with. So he could have said, hey, I'll do whatever the heck I want. But I don't know if there's leverage involved. I just don't know about that. I don't know if they were able to convince Trump to act quickly because they're worried about the U.S. dollar or China's involvement in Iran. China's been using Iran for trade deals. Their plan is to use Iran to get access to markets in the region. You gotta understand that Iran is right in the center of Eurasia. To the east, you have Afghanistan. You also have Pakistan. Of course, to the west, you have Iraq. So yeah, and below Iran, you have the Gulf. You have the Gulf right there, Persian Gulf, and you also have a big body of water there. And then right across that body of water, you have Saudi Arabia. You have United Arab Emirates. You have Kuwait. So maybe the U.S. got involved because they were worried that the BRICS nation, China, was going to work with Iran to set up trade routes that gave them easy access to Africa and other places. And that was going to be used to threaten the supremacy of the U.S. dollar, the petrodollar. The petrodollar is basically how the U.S. remains on top. It's a system set up so that you can't do business in oil unless you're using the U.S. dollar. And any country decides, hey, we don't want to do business in oil with the U.S. dollar, countries like Iraq or Libya, they get dealt with. And that's why we end up with certain types of wars. Because when certain leaders decide they don't want to do business in the petrodollar, that's a threat to the petrodollar. That's a threat to U.S. supremacy worldwide, threat to U.S. power. So maybe Iran was threatening U.S. power are working out a deal with China that will allow them to create a currency that's sort of backed by these new trade arrangements. Maybe that was part of it. I'm not quite sure. I'm not claiming to have the answers, but I do think the whole situation could escalate. Right now, the Gulf, well, not the Gulf, I mean the Strait of Hormuz looks like it's going to be shut down. Straits of Hormuz. The parliament in Iran is basically saying, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna shut down this area of water. It's a narrow area of water that a lot of those countries, as I just mentioned, those oil countries I just mentioned, need to ship their goods, their oil, out of the region. They got to go through that little narrow area of water, and if they shut it down, that could really hurt the oil markets. Now, the problem is this will hurt China. So how do they retaliate, hurt the U.S. without hurting China? Now, I don't know if they're going to do something, right, have sleeper cell attacks here in America. I don't know. They could have had people here for years when the border was wide open. I don't know if that's really going to happen, but we need to remain vigilant. I hope we can de-escalate from the situation. But I wish you guys peace and safety. Stay alert. Share your thoughts. How do you think Iran's going to respond? Do you think they're going to respond? They shut down the straits. What is that going to do to the oil market? What are your plans? I got to get to the gas station. I mean, I try to keep my vehicle at least halfway full at all times. It's typically what I do. So it's a good practice anyway. But anyway, share your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Don't forget the future belongs to those who prepare for today.